Toy Story 5 is coming really, really fast, guys. It's almost here, and it is not going to be for the week apart. Toy Story 5 is breaking tradition. No more G rating for Toy Story movies. They're going PG, and they're going beyond to infinity and beyond even. We are going to see possibly more movies after Toy Story 5. Let's talk about it today on That Park Place. Guys, this is from World of Real. Toy Story 5 rated PG. First time in the franchise after 4 G-rated films. Toy Story through Toy Story 4 carried a G rating. The brand has long stood as one of the most family-friendly IPs in modern animation. Now, the shift to PG could open the door to darker, more complex storytelling, exactly what you want in your Toy Story, or at least one could hope. Perhaps more intense moments, although given the furnace climax in Toy Story 3, it's actually surprising that film managed to retain a G. Yeah, seriously? Like, when I first heard this, I'm like, wait, Toy Story 3 was G-rated?
That's pretty crazy. That's the moment wild.
The moment of like existential horror when these toys accept their inevitable demise and like hold hands and wait for the end to come. I was like, this was G-rated. But
strong message.
Yeah, but I mean, like, how do you feel? Like, so rated PG. I mean, I don't know if that means there's going to be some stronger, a little bit of stronger. I mean, PG is still, you know, it's nothing like crazy. It's not like, you know, it's just not G-rated. But I really don't know what the line in the sand is there between PG and G-rated.
Yeah, we need Jonas to come in here and educate us all on the very, very minute differences between all of these. If you don't know, Jonas actually edited some films in order to show to his kids, which is very, very interesting.
They said but. They said but. I better get it out of there.
I gotta get out of there. Not with two cheeks.
Can't have that.
Yes, but it's very. I mean, if you want to take this franchise, I guess, in multiple iterations, right, where it becomes basically like Fast and the Furious, in which you just have one of these every so often, I guess you have to, you know, maybe raise the stakes, maybe raise the rating and so forth in order to keep people coming back and seeing something maybe fresh and new. Going in this direction with these characters, I don't know if it's the best idea in the world, but you know. Disney, you can't stop them from doing something twice, 3 times, 4 times. I guess if it was good enough to do it once, you could do it again.
As long as, well, that's what we were saying before, Vash, is that like as long as they put these things out there and as long as it makes money, they'll keep doing it over and over and over again.
Right.
Like I personally don't have a problem with them going PG for Toy Story instead of G. It just struck me as slightly odd because at the end of the day, a PG movie is you know, it's good, still good for all audiences. It's just a matter of there may be some subject matter, you know, a little deeper than what you're normally used to in a G-rated movie. But Steph, I think PG is probably this pretty standard for kids movies nowadays, right?
I think so. As far as like kids movies, PG is pretty standard now. All of the other Toy Stories were rated G. That actually kind of makes me wonder, with the PG rating, that means that it could include some material that are like a little bit of maybe just a mild violence, right? Mild.
But I mean, like there was mild violence in the first Toy Story.
A little bit of language, mild bad language. So I'm just kind of like, what is it going to be? And I'm wondering if it's just the language part, right? Someone says like a bad word or something. I'm wondering if it's like the language part, or even like intense themes. Maybe the toys go through something like really intense that requires parents to further explain. But that's what I'm wondering. Or is it because the character is going to be like a lot older? Is she going to be going through something that requires like a PG rating? I don't know. I don't know. But most kids movies nowadays are PG.
Yeah, like something like Shrek, I think would always.
Yeah, most of them are PG. Because like it's like mild language or, you know, intense, really big potty humor, stuff like that, would be like a PG rating. It's not like rare that movies get a G rating, but most of it is like PG.
I'm gonna find it really interesting to watch this movie and see if I can figure out why this is PG, whereas like Toy Story 3 and 4 were rated G.
Yeah, I think it'll pop out at you. I think it's pretty easy to see why something is rated PG.
Well, it's gonna something. Go ahead, Vash.
No, I wonder if something occurs with Bonnie or something like that, because we know this film, you know, talks about the idea of like, you know, the social media age, especially with tablets and cell phones? Do they demand more of kids' attention than toys, and how the toys have to compete with that? It's a very kind of interesting thing. I wonder if there's something experienced there. But I'm reminded of the outtake controversy of Toy Story 2, right? I don't know if anybody's ever heard the story, but there was Pixar back in the day. During the credits, used to do like these like outtakes that they would have with the characters. They've changed this format a number of times. But Toy Story 2 was one of the last ones in which they did this, which I thought was a really kind of cool thing. But one of the inclusions was Stinky Pete, and I guess talking to a couple of Barbie figures and saying like, "Hey, meet me in my dressing room" or something like that. There was some strong innuendo there that they eventually removed.
I could get you a bigger role. Yeah, I remember that.
Exactly. It was like, whoa. But that, I mean, if you're saying that's part of this G rating right here, it is kind of interesting what direction they'll go for that PG rating here.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew people found that controversial, but now looking back on it, I guess I could see why. Like knowing what we know now about Hollywood. But we are going to have a point of comparison, guys, because as you can see here, Toy Story, they're saying they have ideas beyond Toy Story 5. So Toy Story 4 was about a decade ago. Toy Story 3, many people thought that was the off-ramp. That was the perfect ending, the perfect way to cap off this series. Toy Story 5 is on the way, but Entertainment Weekly has an extensive story on the highly anticipated Pixar sequel out on June 19th. In it, the magazine reveals that director Andrew Stanton believes, quote, with just 2 months of brainstorming the mundane elements of the life cycle of a toy, there would be 2 movies worth of Toy Story material to explore next. Maybe not with Bonnie, but a different character as a focal point. That's why I feel like it can keep going. Man, how much longer are we going to drag this out? Like, Toy Story 4 is terrible.
Yeah, I hate Toy Story 4. It is awful.
Yeah.
And I think like with we were just talking about how voice actors, it's hard to separate them from these characters. And Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, man, they're getting up there in age, and it's kind of like when James Earl Jones came back and voiced Mufasa. You could tell that he was like older in his voice when he was voicing Mufasa. You could like hear the age in his voice. I think it's the same thing with Tim Allen and Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to hear that sort of like age in their voice. And so how long can they do that? Like, I understand that there could be potential stories to tell. I mean, one of them being like when Woody goes off with Bo Peep at the end of like Toy Story 4, there could be like a ton of like little adventure stories that they could tell with Woody there. But why do that? Like, honestly, Toy Story 3 was perfect. It was the greatest closing to a trilogy. Toy Story 4 was terrible. I'm not really looking forward to Toy Story 5 because like I don't think that it's going to be any good.
Toy Story 4 was a character assassination of Woody.
Absolutely.
And Buzz.
Yeah.
It was all of them were like had character assassination.
Well, and so
Buzz
what
went back to his factory settings thinking that like his voice modulator or whatever was like his inner monologue, was his conscience. That was really dumb. It was character assassination for all of those characters.
Yeah.
It was such a terrible movie. So
it really was bad. I mean, it was like you look at Woody, like his primary motivation for the entirety of the first 3 movies are, I have to be there for this kid. I have to be there for this kid. I have to be there for this kid. Toy Story 4 comes around and he was like, I don't have to be there for this kid.
I know.
Which is just like,
he's
what?
like, she's growing up. See you later. I'm going to go off with Bo Peep.
I'm not going through this again.
Well, yeah, and that's the problem with
the purpose of a toy's being is to be there for his kid. I mean, he was even going to go off with Andy to college. Like, that's how deeply attached, he is, and how much he believes that a toy is there to be there for the kid. Like, that's what he believes. That's Woody to his core. It's what's the lesson that he teaches all of the toys that he comes into contact with. Like, you're there for your kid. Like, that's it.
Well, and how about the fact that like, his entire thing was always like, you have to be there for the kid. And that was always like for Andy when he was the favorite of Andy. But with Bonnie, he's not the favorite anymore. And then all of a sudden it's, I could blow this popsicle stand. Like,
exactly. Woody has always been selfless. And Toy Story 4, like, they made him so selfish.
Yeah. Bingo.
Like, why would you do that to Woody?
Bingo.
Well, and that's the problem with continuing this series, right? Where it has kind of arcs and sweeps and so forth, and characters that grow and feel dynamic and really come to a certain point, right? At a certain extent in the franchise, you're going to have to rethink these characters, and in order to give them either arcs of their own self-contained within these films, or on continuing sagas, and that usually results in character assassination because you're having to basically rethink these characters and do stuff maybe that they would be atypical of them. For example, like the entire plot for Woody is in Toy Story 2 is convincing Jesse to like give your owners or your kids another chance, right? And so that's when he says, I'm going to blow this popsicle stand over there on Toy Story 4, which Marvin so beautifully said. It's just like, what is going on here? This is just atypical of this character. He would never actually do this, but it's the only way to progress these stories in this way. And apparently, I think Andrew Stanton, he's saying he's going to be out of there maybe as well after this, or the last film he directs for Pixar, which I thought was a very interesting comment from him, because obviously he was so prolific with Pixar specifically, maybe not in other ventures, which was most unfortunate for him. But Pixar kind of stumbled in this whole thing. If you look at the history, right? They originally didn't want to do a Toy Story 2. They initially were going to have another studio actually do that, and it was like, okay. If this has got Pixar stamp on it, let's go ahead and review what's in production. It was awful, terrible. John Lasseter has to come back in, rewrite this thing, redo this thing in a very short time span, and that's when Toy Story 2 was actually delivered right there. So to mine this over and over and over again, it's just antithetical to what the core, not only for these characters, was all about, but also to Pixar itself.
It's also, from a Disney perspective, it is, Vash, the antithesis of what Walt wanted, if I can, borrow a phrase from our friend here.
And Dreamer's Point is the antithesis of the idea that Walt had this incredible optimism and hope for the future, that if we all work together and we all dream together, we could build the impossible and make it our reality.
Yep.
Yeah. So Walt Disney hated sequels. He never wanted to do sequels. He did not like to repeat himself. Famously, if you remember, when he was asked the question of whether or not he was going to do another movie with the Three Little Pigs, the response was, "You don't follow pigs with pigs."
Yes.
And Disney's been following pigs with pigs now for years. That was the entire Bob Iger model, was pigs after pigs.
And what do you get with pigs after pigs? Slop. And that's exactly what we're being fed most of the times when it comes to mining these character stories.
Well done. I like that.
It.
Set you up and you spiked it. Very nice, my friend.
I like it.
But yeah, I mean, guys, I don't know. We're going to see Toy Story 4, we see Toy Story 4, we're going to see Toy Story 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to infinity and beyond.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.